Dear students, I welcome you once again to today's online lecture. Well, in my previous video, I talked about oral presentations and I gave you some tips how to prepare an oral presentation. So, in part 2, I will be giving you some more tips about oral presentations. But before I move on, let me quickly recap what we discussed in the previous presentation or in the previous talk so that you may be able to connect the previous part with the new one. So I said preparing a presentation seems to be a challenging task, but there are some steps which if you follow, then you can break down this challenging task into small manageable tasks. So here are the steps. So the first step is collect information about your audience, that who will be attending your audience, whether lay people will be attending your audience or people from your own subject area will be attending your audience. And then you also need to select a topic. And the third thing is you should define the objective of the presentation, and you should you know prepare your presentation keeping in mind the objective of the presentation. And then you should start preparing the body of the presentation, and there are some things, some strategies which you can use to prepare the body of the presentations. For example, present data and facts, read quotes from experts, relate personal experiences, and provide vivid descriptions. And I told you that you should not use only a single strategy, but use a combination of strategies to make your presentation more interesting. And the other thing is you must your presentation must have a beginning, a middle, and an end, mean an introduction, body, and conclusion. And I told you that the first 5 minutes of the presentation are very important. So you can use these strategies such as make asking questions to stimulate thinking, sharing a personal experience, or a joke or a cartoon or any of these things to begin your presentation. So during your presentation, you should also clearly state your topic. I've also, seen that there are many presenters who go to the podium and start, talking about the presentation. I think it's always a good idea to first of all greet the audience. After greeting the audience, you should introduce yourself very briefly. Although, the anchor person or the person present on the dais might have introduced you, but you should also give a very brief introduction of yours. For example, good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Athar Munir, and I am an assistant professor at Government Emerson College, Multan. So today I will be talking about the art and craft of giving presentation. So what I did, I first of all greeted the audience, and then I gave a very brief introduction of mine, that who am I? I am an my name is Athar Munir, and I'm a PhD, I mean doctor, and then I am an assistant professor at a government college, and then I announce the topic of my presentation, and then you can start your presentation. Also, it is a very good idea to you know tell the structure of your presentation. Example, what you will be telling in the beginning, what you will be telling after that, what you will be telling after that, and how will you end the presentation. So in the beginning, you may also tell your audience where you will be answering the questions. I have always seen that clever presenters always tell in the beginning where they will take the questions. And the result is that people do not disturb them as they are giving presentations. That depends upon your personal choice where you will like to answer the questions. Will you like people to interrupt you as and ask questions as they arise, or will you ask people to hold on till the end where you will be answering the questions after you finish your presentation? But it is always a good idea to tell your audience where and when will you be answering their questions. Now, another important thing is conclusion of presentation. It's a very common saying that first impression is the last impression. But I think even the last impression in the presentation is a lasting impression. So if you want to have a lasting impression on your audience, and if you want your audience to remember you, then you must have a very convincing conclusion, a very sound conclusion. So what you can do is during the conclusion of your presentation, reinforce the main ideas you communicated. Remember that listeners won't remember your entire presentation, only the main idea. By reinforcing and reviewing the main idea, you help the audience remember them. So in the end, you can also thank the audience, and then you can invite the audience for question and answer session if you have chosen to have a question and answer session till the end. So another important step in preparing a presentation is practicing and delivering. Practice delivering the presentation. Most people spend hours and hours preparing a presentation, but very little time practicing it. So if you talk to any successful presenter, he will tell you that he spent an equal amount of time in preparing a presentation and rehearsing it. So rehearsal or practice is as important as preparing a presentation. And the time you spend on rehearsing your presentation is not wasted. It will rather pay you in more than one way. So when you practice your presentation, you can reduce the number of times you utter words and phrases like well, and These habits can easily diminish a speaker's credibility. And another advantage of practicing or rehearsing your presentation is you can also fine tune your content to be sure you make your most important points in the time allotted. Before I move on to the next point, I would like to remind you that a presentation is a golden opportunity at your doorstep to impress the audience. And the audience may include your big boss, the people who are responsible for giving you promotion, the people who are responsible in making you grow quickly. So if you are able to give an impressive presentation, then you are successful. You will quickly move on to the ladder of success or career ladder. So it is your opportunity. And you must always remember that when you are speaking to an individual, only two eyes and two ears are attentive towards you. But when you are giving a presentation, then suppose there are 50 people attending your presentation, it means 100 eyes will be looking at you, 100 ears will be listening to you. So you are the most important person in that gathering. And if after attending your presentation, if they feel that you have done justice to the topic and you have delivered in an effective way, then they will forever have a positive impression of your personality. But if they leave the room with the impression that you wasted their time, then you will never be able to correct that image. So remember, you must take presentation as an opportunity, a great opportunity that can change your life altogether. And the bigger the audience is, the more important your presentation is. And there is more need to prepare and practice your presentation. So another thing as part of your preparation is deciding how to deliver the presentation. In addition to planning the content of your presentation, you need to give advanced thought to how you want to deliver it. Do you want to commit your presentation to memory? Use cards to guide you? Or you want to read from a script? All these are different ways of delivering a presentation. You may choose any of these or you may use combination of these as I will be talking towards the end of today's talk. To help you decide, I'm going to share with you the advantages and disadvantages of these delivery methods. So the first is speaking from memory. So what does that mean? A distinct advantage of speaking from memory is your ability to speak to the audience without relying on notes or a script. So when you speak from your memory, you do not have any notes, you do not have any text with you, you just depend 100% on your memory to talk about the thing you want to do. And there is an advantage. This allows you the flexibility to move away from the podium and to maintain eye contact with the audience because you are not looking at any notes or any text, so all the time you can have a good eye contact with the audience. But speaking from memory has disadvantages. Everything has downsides, and speaking from memory is no exception. Presentations from memory often sound rehearsed, and the possibility exists that you will forget an important point because you know under the pressure of circumstances you may forget an important point, or you may present information that is inaccurate because of the slip of the tongue. If you wanted to say 36, you said 360. Now you presented an inaccurate information, or you may completely lose your train of thought. Now my suggestion is that if you decide to deliver your presentation from memory, have your notes handy to jog your memory just in case. And I have seen many experienced presenters becoming puzzled in the middle of the presentation. Sometimes they forget the main points. So if you are speaking from your memory and you have got your notes handy, then You can just put your hands in the pocket of your pant or in the pocket of your shirt and take the notes out and read from there. So that will save you from embarrassment. Now, another way of delivering your presentation is speaking from your notes. Many people like to speak from notes. Typically, these notes are either on cards or paper in outline. They form and contain key ideas and information. So this, I think, is a very good way of giving presentations. If you are using an electronic presentation tool, you may be able to include your notes in the presentation itself. Now, what is the benefit of speaking from the notes? Well, the benefit of speaking from the notes is that you sound natural rather than rehearsed, and you can still maintain relatively good eye contact with the audience. But the disadvantage or the downside is that you might not express your key ideas and thoughts as well as you may have liked had you planned your exact words in advance. Because when you are speaking from notes, you might not be able to use the exact words because you will have little time to recall the exact words or the most appropriate words. So, the other way of delivering a presentation is speaking from text. As it is written, you can see everything is written here. So, speaking from text involves writing your speech out word for word, then basically reading from the text. As with speaking from memory, an advantage of this method is that you plan in advance exactly what you are going to say and how you are going to say. There is no chance of forgetting, no matter how much pressure is there on your mind, you will at least be able to read what you have already written because you have got the text in front of you. You may fumble a little bit, but you will not completely fall down because you have got a very tangible thing, that is a text in front of you. You just need to read from there. But what is the disadvantage? A disadvantage or downside is that you might appear to the audience to be stiff or rehearsed because you have already decided everything well in advance and it appears to be a budget speech which you cannot change. You will also need to make frequent eye contact and speak with expressions to maintain the audience's interest. So when you are speaking from the text, you need to look quite a lot at the text, and it is hard to maintain an eye contact with the audience. And eye contact is a must because eye contact with the audience shows that you are interested in them. That shows your own interest. If you do not maintain a good eye contact with the audience, then the audience may get bored. So, suggestion is you should use a combination of methods. You may find the best method to be a combination of all three. For example, experts suggest that you memorize the first and last 10 minutes of your talk so that you can speak flawlessly and without notes. So you are able, first minutes are important. So first few minutes you are able to capture the attention of the audience. And the last impression is also the lasting impression. So if you memorize The first and last 10 minutes of your talk, it's important. It will be good. Notes may be suitable for segments of your presentation that you may know well, very well. Example, relating a personal story. If you just want to relate a personal story, you can have notes that where you went, what did you do after that, what did you do after that, just key points. Finally, speaking from a text might be appropriate when you have quotes or other important points that you want to make sure you communicate accurately and completely. You can make a smooth segue to written text by saying something like, I want to read this quote to you verbatim to ensure that I don't distort the original content, intent, the original intent. So here are some strategies, some steps actually, which you should follow while preparing a presentation. And I'm sure if you follow these steps, the challenging task of giving a presentation will be more enjoyable and will also result in a positive thing, and you will be able to leave a good impression on your audience. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.